Tenny Ostrem and Claire Wernstedt-Lynch appeared on our show several months ago. You may remember that they were taking a journey from California all the way along the border between the United States and Mexico, walking the entire length of the U.S. southern border to understand and bring attention to the issues of immigration in the United States. And they are back with us today to discuss their experience. Welcome, Tenny. Welcome, Claire. You made it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello.
You started all the way on the beach in California, in San Diego. How long did it take you to go along the entire southern border?
1 week shy of 6 months.
Almost 6 months to walk it. And how many states did you go through?
Yeah, so we started in San Diego, went through California first, and Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas for the second half of our trip, and then ended in the Gulf.
The purpose of your trip was to bring attention to the issues going on the border between the United States and Mexico, and also for you to have a learning experience about it as well. What did you learn about immigration that you didn't know before?
I think a lot of the stereotypes that we had were kind of dissolved. So we met people like ranchers who we assumed were maybe conservative, had one viewpoint on border issues, and we started understanding that maybe it's a little more nuanced than that. They, for instance, have a relationship with their land. They have a relationship with anyone who crosses their land. They don't understand maybe why this is such an inflated issue. They've been dealing with a lot of this their entire life. I also think one of the interesting things we learned was sort of about fears people had. I think if you're not on the border, there's a lot of fears about people. And then when you're on the border, we noticed people had a lot more fears about the natural environment and about rattlesnakes and animals and everything like that. And the people to them were not much of a threat. And if they were, it was always 30 miles downriver or 30 miles farther from here is where it's bad. But here it's pretty safe. And that was sort of a constant refrain we heard along the whole way.
It's amazing that people who live on the border don't think that immigration and people, and border protection and border patrol and ICE and, putting up a huge wall and stopping every last human being from coming into the United States of America is as big an issue as people who live in the center of the United States who may never have seen an immigrant and are not living it on a regular basis. Did you meet any migrants along the way?
Yeah, one in the beginning when we talked to you last. Another time, Border Patrol had caught someone and was putting them in the back of their truck. The third time, I ran into someone. I actually was alone. My cell phone had slipped off of my cell charger, and I went back to find it and ran into someone, and he was about 20 feet away from me and huddled in a ball and scared to death of me. So I left him alone.
He was more scared of you than you were of him.
Yeah.
Right. Did you try to talk to him, or you kind of just walked away?
No. I felt actually ashamed that I was making a spectacle and left.
Did you bump into Border Patrol besides that one time where you saw them hauling somebody off? Did they give you a problem at all? Did they ever say, "Hey, let me see your papers"?
We saw Border Patrol probably 10 times a day, 5 to 10 times a day, every day. So they were a big part of our trip.
And did they ever ask you to see immigration papers, or they just assume you're an American because you're white?
Yeah, I'd say we had a very different experience with Border Patrol because we were white. They were really very nice to us, very polite, not very interested in what we were doing, and only sort of talked very briefly with us and then let us kind of continue. We were only asked for IDs one time on the trip.
I guess they talked to you, and after 2 or 3 minutes, they heard your accent and moved on, and saw your skin and moved on.
Yeah.
Was that basically it?
10 seconds.
10 seconds, 15 seconds.
Yeah, sometimes not even that. A lot of profiling.
What do you think would have happened if you were Hispanic, born in America, or you were black, born in America, walking along the border? Do you think you would have been treated differently?
Absolutely. One thing I was really surprised by are there are these blimps that fly at several points along the border, and they survey about 200 miles of the border, and they just sit over these towns, American towns where American citizens live. And that sort of constant surveillance is just a daily part of life in that area. If you're in a city, there's a very heavy militarized presence. The wall is, 20, 30 feet high. There's cameras everywhere. And then as soon as you're maybe 5 miles out of town, that presence disappears, and it feels very remote. You might see a car stationed every once in a while, but you could go miles without seeing anybody.
But certainly the insight that I hear you saying is that the scare tactics of Trump saying that immigrants are flooding our borders and they're destroying our towns. You didn't see that, did you?
Since we had a west-east route and everyone else had the south-north route, we didn't see many people. And the people we did meet it was a safe encounter. And it definitely helped us personally understand what was real, what was in our heads, how Trump plays into our fears, how it's easy to inflate in your own mind fears, and we were not witness to any mass amounts of people crossing the border or terrorizing towns.
Tell us what you learned from your trip that you want everyone to know about that people don't know.
I think that people are really basically good and kind, and that if you approach them with respect and empathy, that's generally what you'll receive in return, and that if you can try and think through your fears and realize that a lot of them might not be real, then you can have really positive interactions with a lot of people in your life.
One of the things for me is just understanding that you can listen to a lot of the politics and you can listen to a lot of the information and the facts and the figures, but also you need to understand that within yourself, you need to learn how to find respect for people if they're treated less.
Tell us exactly where people can find out about your journey and read about what happened day to day in your experiences.
Go visit our blog at walktheborder.com or follow us on Instagram at clairetenny.walktheborder. There's also a documentary coming out at some point called Hike the Line. It's a story about our journey.
Well, Tenny and Claire, fabulous job. You really set out to learn and do and advocate and bring attention to an issue. So I commend you, and fabulous job, and thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thank you,
so
Brad.
much.